Yo, what's good with y'all? This your boy NeoXO coming back at y'all with another Black Clover video. Today, we're gonna be talking about Black Clover Chapter 331. If you into Black Clover, you already know what to do. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna see you in the comments. But getting into this chapter right here, starts off with Nox saying, Yuno, there's someone I need you to meet. And this someone happens to be Yuno's mother, Sibling. So the fact that Nox says this means that Nox knew a lot more than he was letting on at the captain's meeting. The captain's meeting where, he showed up and basically intruded, but not really, because Julius had always been aware of Nox, and Nox was just put into power kind of secretly, where not everyone knew that he was the vice captain of the Black Bulls. But at that meeting, he gave off that Yuno might be a traitor, or a Spade Kingdom spy. He kind of gave off that skepticism about Yuno, but he was just playing the whole time. Like, he was just playing kind of like ignorant, because at the end of the day, him saying that there's someone he needs him to meet, he knew that Sibling was alive this entire time. And I could go ahead and say Ralph probably knew this entire time too, because Ralph and Nox were in communication with each other. So they probably came to the conclusion that it would be best not to tell, for whatever their reason may have been. His mother acknowledges him and says that, you have grown into such a fine young man. And she runs to him and embraces him with a hug. Now, at this moment, I know that Yuno is probably feeling a flutter of emotions just coming straight directly into him. I think that he handled this situation pretty well. He also is just kind of dealing with other things right now, like the Clover Kingdom and the Spade Kingdom at the same time, because it's kind of like he was living one life, but he had a whole nother life waiting for him. So he's kind of dealing with this all at once, and at the same time, he's still like they said, like, he's still a young man. So this is probably a lot for him to deal with. So I say he handled this really well, because the resistance obviously want him to go back to the Spade Kingdom after the Dark Triad wreaked havoc on the kingdom. There is a power vacuum. There's no one there. They're trying to put someone in power to restore stability to the Spade Kingdom, considering it basically fell. The Spade Kingdom basically fell, right? Yuno's father was killed. It was assumed that Yuno's mother was killed also, until this chapter where we got the revelation that his mother was actually still alive. So since his father isn't in this chapter, we know that his father is confirmed dead, and so is Dante. So the two people who claimed the throne, or claimed to be king of the Spade Kingdom, are no longer there. So there's basically no one in power, and the resistance wants to go ahead and put their person in power. They want to put Yuno in power, but Yuno says the future is unclear. So he basically means that he doesn't know what's going to happen. However, he also says that, there's some vows that I still have to complete. And he's talking about the vow he made with Asta, the bro fist moment, the moment when they fist bump and made that promise with each other to become the Wizard King. So he's still acknowledging that, and wanting to not throw away his old life just because he has a fancy new shiny life as a king, right? So he still wants to honor his vow that he made with Asta, which is really cool. So what I see happening here is is basically going to compete with Asta to become Wizard King, and perhaps something happens where Asta is the clear-cut winner and he becomes the Wizard King of the Clover Kingdom. So in that case right there, since saw the vow out to the end, how it ended, he can always go back to the Spade Kingdom and be the king there. And we know that Asta and Noel have experience with the Queen of the Heart Kingdom, so that puts the Clover Kingdom and the Heart Kingdom at peace with each other. And since Asta has that experience, he can communicate with Yuno, and they can have like a world peace where the kingdoms aren't at war. There's no threat of the kingdoms invading each other, and they're just living in a time of peace, them both ruling over the kingdoms with them both ruling over their respective kingdoms. That's over to Asta's perspective, and he's sitting on a broken clock, right? This clock has been shown throughout the entire arc, and it's basically foreshadowing, right? Now, at this point, if you're watching it, there is spoilers in the video, of course, so hopefully you read the chapter. We know that there's a plot twist with Julius that I'm going to get into, but this is like foreshadowing of that, right? Because the clock has been prominent throughout this entire arc. Now going into the final arc, we see the clock once more, and Asta and Libe are sitting on top of this clock, and Asta goes ahead and thanks Libe for letting Asta get the chance to know who his mother is. This is I think this was sort of necessary. I don't think it should have to been, because a lot of people basically were saying there's no way that Asta realizes that's his mother. And I'm like, okay, I know Asta's an idiot. Libe even calls him an idiot in this chapter, but there's no way that Asta couldn't have figured it out, you know, especially when they were in perfect union. I say that Asta knew, but it's still nice to have the confirmation, so it's not up for debate anymore. Asta says straight up, thanks Libe for letting me know who my mother is, and you know, Libe kind of cuts him off and like, hey, I'm the one who should be thanking you, you idiot. You helped me avenge Lysita. I think that's going to come into play later too, because did he actually fully avenge Lysita? Because it seems like the plot twist with Julius, that Julius manipulated the situation. Julius has been manipulating things over time, or should I say Lucius, right? Lucius has been manipulating the story this whole time. So the final avenged part, I feel like, has yet to come. Well, Asta admits that the fact that he knows that his mother loves him, that does make him happy. So that's pretty cool to see. He holds no grudges over his mother. Then it cuts to a split screen of Yuno and Asta both saying, I will become the Wizard King. So that vow is still on. That has been going on since the beginning of the series, and going into the final act, it's going to be going strong. This is going to be where we decide. This is going to be where it's all decided at, pretty much. Who's going to become the Wizard King? Right here, their strength is going to be tested. From throughout the whole series, the strength that they were able to gain is going to be tested in this final arc. Now, this right here is where the chapter gets twisted and dark. This is the part y'all been waiting for me to talk about. Damnatio walks through the corridors of the castle to meet Julius. Julius is sitting at his desk speaking to Marx. Marx is somewhat suspicious because Marx, as we know, has always been very interested in Julius, right? He also has a magic that makes a lot of things he has a magic that allows things to be easily manipulated. He has memory magic, so it's quite easy for him to intrude on someone's memories and kind of mix them up or remove them. So the fact that he's always been by Julius, that makes it a little bit suspicious whenever you find out what Julius is about to do. So the call ends between Marx and Julius is getting this feeling. He's like, what's going on? Like, we won the battle, but I still feel a little bit uneasy. And he says he's been feeling uneasy ever since he turned back into his kid form after fighting the ancient devil, the time when Asta came in and had to save them, right? So he's been feeling uneasy ever since then. And the look on his face seems very realistic. It doesn't seem like he's joking. It doesn't seem like he's acting, because why would he be acting when he's the only one in the room? So that means that there's a good chance that something is not the way he wants it to be, right? Something is not the way he wants it to be, and it seems like he can't quite figure it out. And that's why I say Marx is suspicious, because Marx has the ability to change people's memories. If it was really like a big deal to him, he could have had Marx go in and look at his memories so he can realize for himself what he feels uneasy about, that he can't quite put his finger on, because Marx will be able to read his memories. So the fact that he doesn't go to Marx means that he may not trust anybody, or specifically Marx, to look through his memories. Maybe he's forgetting some memories. Maybe somebody manipulated something in Julius's head. So it goes on with Damnatio finally making it to Julius's office, and he says, Julius, there's something I'd like to talk about. And he says, ever since the trial, I've been researching the existence of devils, right? Because Asta had to go to the trial to basically prove that he's not the devil that tried to destroy the spade, tried to destroy the Clover Kingdom during the elf invasion arc, right? That was actually Zagreus, but they needed somebody to put the blame on, so Asta became like the fall guy. But Damnatio does have a sense of justice. Even though a lot of people don't like him, he does. So he did the research, and he says, ever since the court trial, I've been researching the existence of devils, kind of, you know, to maybe clear Asta's name. And he says, I've been looking into the families of the devil hosts within our country, and this is what I've learned. These are the documents from more than 20 years ago. So all of this information he's about to give us. He says that Magicula, there's no mention of her in these documents, meaning that she's not actually a Qliphoth devil. He tells us that the rulers of the underworld are Lucifero, Beelzebub, and Astaroth. Now I just want to say right here, I've been trying to say this for a million years. Everybody kept saying Lucifero is the ruler of the underworld. I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but hear me out. Lucifero is a self-proclaimed king, and if you look at the tree of Qliphoth, there are 3 beings, 3 devils there right alongside him, right? So thank you, Damnatio, for clearing this up for everybody. The underworld is said to have 3 rulers: Lucifero of gravity, and he's also known as Satan; Beelzebub of spatial magically, and finally, he pauses for a second, Astaroth of time magic. Now, who's a character we know to have time magic? Julius. So he says perhaps Magicula took Astaroth's place. And that's possible, right? Because Astaroth is no longer in the underworld. He came to the human world. And then the whole time, Damnatio was like, I really hope I'm wrong. He's in his head, he's like, I really hope I'm wrong. But he's like, is it a coincidence that there's only been one person who has time magic in the entire world? And we know who that is. That's Julius. So he's thinking the existence of this devil has been inside of our country this entire time. And then Julius has a distraught look on his face. Again, it doesn't look like he's acting or pretending. He says, you're right, it really is me. So it seems like he came to this realization that he's the bad guy, but it's like, why did he need to come to a realization if he knew all along? And then right here is where it just gets crazy. He gets up and he tells Damnatio to quickly and then it cuts off before his body is taken over by these strange marks. His grimoire then changes into a grimoire with 2 spades on it. This can be a special type of grimoire from the Spade Kingdom, or it could be a universal grimoire because it has like 2 spades, but the way that they're put together, you can get a diamond, a heart, a spade, and a clover from it. So that's why I say it might be universal, like from a combination of everything, right? Every kingdom. Then that's when we see Adramalech come in through the window. Really cool scene. I like how he just came in. He was like, yo, everything pretty much happened like you said it was. And then a big reveal, Lucius Zogratis. Julius is Lucius Zogratis. That is insane. And then we see finally the 4th member of the Zogratis family. His face reveal right here. He says, time's up. So it's like, what? This is like a mind-blowing chapter right here. So not only is Julius in possession of the time devil, he's also one and the same as Lucius Zogratis. So this means that the entire time he was just playing the good guy. He did all of these things. He manipulated the entire story of Black Clover, right? From way back in the beginning, before the events of Black Clover even take place, he found Ayami, he found William, he raised them up, and then he used them as sacrifices, right? Because those were the 2 people that he needed for this Tree of Qliphoth ritual. And there's plenty of moments throughout the story that he manipulated because he's in the position of power at the Wizard King position, that he has basically access to everything in the Clover Kingdom. Everything to make his plan come everything to make his plan come to fruition. This entire time, it's always been Julius. So the question now is was Julius ever a good guy? Or was he just playing everybody the entire time? Because he has, throughout the series, manipulated the events to go and lead right here. He led everything to this moment right here, and now he's saying time's up. So it's finally to the breaking point, the point where everything pretty much is revealed. So this is going to be very interesting going into the final act of Black Clover. Yes, you heard correctly. Black Clover is in its final act, the final arc. So we're in for a big treat. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, go ahead and leave it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's me, your boy NeoXO, and I'm out.